Welcome back, Rebel fans. We're here with another episode of the Rebel Talk presented by the Rebel Walk. I'm your host, Cam Wicker. I'm also here with
Zach Morath.
today. We're going to recap a little bit about Ole Miss sports over the past week and a half, 2 weeks. Really hadn't been around with you guys. Me and Zach were going through the finals week in the semester. We're in different locations right now. It's not as usual as we are together
Right.
the last couple episodes, but we're here to talk about a little bit of Ole Miss sports. It's been a wild couple of weeks, especially the past couple of days this weekend, as far as recruiting for Ole Miss football and men's basketball specifically. We're going to jump into some men's basketball and some women's basketball first. We'll start off with some women's basketball. It's been kind of a little downhill way for this women's team these past couple of weeks after losing KK Deans at the point guard position, trying
Right.
to reshape that new offense, that new lineup with two freshman point guards. Last time out, we got to saw Zakiya Stevenson in the lineup again as a freshman when they played Mississippi Valley State. Nearly a 30-point victory. This was a Mississippi Valley State team that we saw lose by a lot of points. South Carolina not too long ago. Um, no credit taken away from this Ole Miss team or that South Carolina team, but this was a struggling Mississippi Valley State team that was trying to find some wins. Couldn't get it done against Ole Miss last week. Um, there was a handful of double-digit scores in that game for Ole Miss. Rita had 12 herself. Snuda Collins had 14. Quay Davis had 10 points herself. Kaya Richardson had 11. Tia Singleton had 11. Also, Penny Ty Williams had 11. A lot of double-digit scores in that game for a team that doesn't really score a lot, or Coach Yo team that doesn't really score a lot of points. And that's really all we had from that game. It wasn't really a big-time matchup. Really wasn't a
Yeah.
lot of people there. At the end of a semester game two in Oxford. This is a team that these last couple of games down the stretch, I believe they play tomorrow night against South Alabama. Um, but this is coming off the end of conference play. This is a team that we're going to have to wait to see what happens with when it comes into SEC play. There's a lot of good SEC teams right now in the women's division with LSU. You got South Carolina, you got Tennessee. Mississippi State looks really good as well. Kentucky as well. But you're gonna have to wait and see with this Ole Miss team without KK Deans, without a true point guard. Outside of that, there's not really much going on with women's basketball. Like I said,
Yeah.
they play tomorrow night. I think it'll be on ESPN Plus, 6 p.m. at South Alabama. So we'll see. That's a road test, and I think they have maybe another road test or two. I think they go to Arkansas Pine Bluff sometime after that before they get into conference play in January. Going into men's basketball, I was pretty excited to watch that game last night. I don't know about you, Zach. What are your thoughts
That
on that
was,
game?
yeah, man. Again, it's just obviously Brandon Murray comes back. He was the weighted transfer. He had kind of a waiver issue with NCAA, but that got cleared up finally. And it was good to see him on the floor. I think he hit a three, only had 3 points to finish the night. But again, it's going to take some meshing and some blending with the team to kind of get that culture back with now that everyone can play. But Jamin Brakefield was hot from the field. And the rest of the team, man, it was just awesome. They scored 88 points. That's a season high for them. And to see everyone kind of come together in a win like that against a Cal team, they weren't bad, Cam. I mean, they only have 3 wins, but playing everyone very close, and Ole Miss took them, beat them by 10 points. And honestly, the game wasn't really close at any point. So there was never a feeling of doubt from my perspective.
Yeah, like you said, this was a very tough Cal team. The record didn't show it, obviously, but they battled pretty much the entire game. They tried to keep it within reach as much as they can. This was just an offense last night for Ole Miss that just couldn't miss. I think they shot
Yeah.
like 12 for 20 from three, 12 for 21 from three, 57 from three, 57% from three on the night. Like you said, Brandon Murray came back. I talked to TJ Oxley about this, also with the Rebel Walk. And we pretty much talked about like what the ruling was. I've been seeing it all over my feed and stuff, and everyone was kind of confused. You see it all over TV. So the NCAA, when this first happened, the ruling kind of came out. They were like, "Well, if you guys play, we're not sure what could happen. You might get disciplined if the ruling gets overturned. We're not sure." The very next day, they came out and they're like, "You can play, but watch out, something might happen." And then recently, before that game, last night with Cal and Ole Miss, they were like, "You guys can play. If we take this to court, we're probably gonna lose. So
Yeah,
all these super transfers can play, and that's pretty much what happened last night with Brandon Murray. I kind of
weird.
expected it to happen. We didn't really get to hear any of it. Chris Beard canceled his presser last week, so we didn't get to talk to them about any of that situation going on. But like you said, Brandon Murray looked good. He had a 3-point shot. He's gonna find scoring abilities. We saw that at LSU. We saw that at Georgetown. He's gonna find ways to score. But what I really liked to see last night is when Jalen Murray came off the floor, Brandon Murray looked like the point guard. I
100%,
think
man.
Matthew Morrell, obviously in the past we've seen him play a point guard role, but I think they talked about it on the broadcast last night. This is not the point guard role is not something for Matt Morrell. He's a shooter. He's gonna be
Yeah,
athletic. He's gonna run around and be the athletic guard that he is, and he's better that way. But we also saw Brandon Murray check into that game and just command the floor, take the ball off the floor. People were passing to
mhm.
him. They felt confident around. I think he played like 17 minutes. That's pretty good amount. I know we saw Musa Cisse play like 20 minutes in his debut as well. So Chris Beard's not new to that. But this is a team that, with the addition of Murray, I think has a lot of firepower. Like going forward in the SEC play, this is a team that could finish undefeated in non-conference play. 3 more games left um, before they get into conference play in January. The only really thing I didn't really like last night was a 20 point, I think 24-point lead at one point, and then it dwindles down to a
Mhm.
10-point lead at the end of the game. I think it was an 8-point lead at one point, with Cal battling back. They were struggling on defense at times last night, especially from three. I think Cal hit about 10 threes themselves as well.
Yeah.
Not as consistent as Ole Miss, but still hit a good amount of threes. But I really like what I've seen out of Jamin Brakefield. We just got to get a more consistent Jamin Brakefield scoring like that. If we can get 4 or 5 guys scoring double digits every night, like there was last night, it's just going to be a bright future for the Opus team.
No, yeah, they're pesky, Cam. And like you said, you have Jamin Brakefield, Matt Morrell, Jalen Murray, now Brandon Murray. You have Alan Flanagan, obviously. All these different guys who have the ability to score 15 plus every night. So just the options and the depth on this team, I think it's going to pay dividends in the end. And like you said, Brandon Murray comes back for his first game. Ole Miss now has 2 to 3 weeks before their first SEC game on the road at Tennessee, which is kind of going to give them a chance to, just figure things out, figure out any new problems with Murray, because obviously a new player can cause a lot of difficulties, but I think he's going to benefit this team. I'm really excited to see what happens as the season progresses.
Of course, coming up for this Ole Miss team, I think they are back at home against Troy on Tuesday, 6 p.m.
Yes.
We'll see how many fans show up for that. I'll likely be there to see at that game. We'll see who's all in Oxford to show up for that. But this is an undefeated Rebels team. We're not used to seeing it. By then on Tuesday, this might be a ranked Rebels team. They were 27, 26 last week in the polls, 24th in the coaching's poll. This is a Rebel team that might be ranked come Tuesday. So if you want to see a ranked Rebel team play basketball, come out Tuesday. I think they play the Southern Miss later that week. I think maybe that weekend, and then
Yeah.
Bryant to close out non-conference play. Bryant's a pretty tough matchup. They're usually a tournament team from their conference, and then obviously into January against a tough SEC schedule. But like you said, this is an Ole Miss team that is playing hard right now, and I'm just excited to see where they are going to take that next step because in my recent years watching Ole Miss basketball, I haven't seen a team able to score like this Ole Miss team does.
100%. Like you said, man, I'm excited. It's going to be a fun season. Hopefully they can get to 13-0 before SEC play. Before we dive into this hectic, chaotic, whatever you want to call it, week of football recruiting and transfer portal news, we have a couple ad reads. The first is with Phoenix Embroidery. Hey, Rebs, if you're looking for a one-stop shop for embroidery, laser engraving, or screen printing, check out Phoenix Embroidery Company in Oxford. Phoenix Embroidery offers its clients quality products at affordable prices. Go check them out at 2580 Jackson Avenue West, Suite 35, Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. Or give them a call at 662-473-8085. Ask for John and tell him the Rebel Walk sent you.
This podcast is also presented by Dead Soxy. Hey Rebels, last call for Christmas sales coming at Dead Soxy. Order by Monday, December 18th at 10 a.m. Central and receive a holiday gift or a stocking stuffer on time. Check out deadsoxy.com for new discounted items. You can use code Rebel Walk. That's code Rebel Walk, capital R, capital W for an extra 33% off site wide. As always, stay Soxy. You can also check out the rebelwalk.com for links on Dead Soxy as well.
There you have it. All right, Cam. So let's get into the week here. I wrote an article on this on the Rebel Walk, but Princely, the edge from Florida, I'm not going to even get into his last name because I'm having trouble trying to pronounce it, but he's currently committed to the Rebs. And, he was in town. There was a lot of speculation. And I just want to describe to me your emotions, Cam. Like, I know fans were getting really impatient because they knew he was in town, but he hasn't committed yet. There were all these different things going on. So just walk me through that.
Yeah, as far as Princely, this is the guy. I've had a little bit of downtime these past couple of days to just watch some film on a lot of these guys, and Princely he stands out every asset of the game. Out of everyone I watched, I mean, Tyler Barron, the guy that from Tennessee that Ole Miss picked up yesterday, exact same build, exact same size, but Princely just looks a different type of breed for this Rebel defense. You can put out there with a guy like Suntarine Perkins. It's going to make a difference on the edge, and with all the talent coming back, with this Ole Miss defensive line, with Ivy, with McGee's, and possibly more. We're yet to see who's coming back yet. A lot of the rest of those guys, but this is a team. I mean, this is a guy that when I was checking out some stats, checking out this film, he's a difference maker. He's really fast off the edge. He can read RPOs, and run and read options, which you're gonna need in the SEC when you face guys like Jalen Milroe, guys like Jaden Daniels. You're gonna need to be able to guard the read option, be disciplined on that.
Yeah.
And he seems like he's that type of guy on the highlights I was watching from him. What I really liked when I was watching this guy was his ability to chase people down. Um, like quarterbacks are scrambling out of the pocket, he just comes from the backside. He's running you down. You can't get away from the guy. Um, but like I said, this is not he's isn't the only guy that's this high performance athlete that's coming in Ole Miss. He is probably the highest touted right now, with the exception of Walker Nolan, who will get into who of Walter Nolan, who we'll get into in a little bit, who's yet to make a commitment yet. Um, but yeah, Princely, uh, Uman Mi Ellen, who
There you go.
that's the pronunciation I was getting from most of these announcers when I was watching some of these highlights. Yeah, this is a guy who's going to be a difference maker for Ole Miss, and I'm really excited. This was probably outside of Walter Nolan, the guy that I was waiting to see where he was going to pick, and just happy uh, that he was able to land here. 15 career sacks and 7 of them last year. So this is a guy who's going to be a real big time playmaker on that defensive side of the ball. Pete Golden.
Absolutely. And, you mentioned it. JJ Pegues is coming back. You have Xavier Harris, who's going to be in the middle, eating up space. And hopefully, if you get Walter Nolan, he'll be doing the same. You mentioned it, Tyler Barron. He was also an edge rusher out of Tennessee. He committed to Ole Miss along with his teammate, Tamarian McDonald, who was a safety for Tennessee. And also in the same week, we got Key Lawrence from Oklahoma, who was also a safety defensive back type player. What I'm starting to notice, Cam, is that Golding is really starts to enjoy these hybrid type secondary players. You saw it with Dejon Anthony from this year's team, John Saunders, all these guys they're able to play safety. They're also able to play man-to-man defensive back. I'm just loving the versatility. And this, like you said, man, this defensive line is going to be so fun to watch. Jared Ivey's coming back. A lot of size, a lot of speed, a lot of strength coming up for the Rebs.
Yeah, for sure. As far as these DBs, like you say, Big Golden seems to be attracted to these hybrid DBs that are gonna get up and get into the run game and make hits and make tackles. One thing I really liked that I noticed out of these DBs that I was that so far committed out of transfer portal, McDonald, Lawrence, Moore, and Nicholson. All of them are heavy solo tackle guys like that. That just kind of tells you something, tells you that these guys are going out and making tackles on their own. They're not in the middle of a bunch of other things. Well, not expecting someone else to come help them make a tackle. they're going to get out there and make that tackle themselves. A lot of these guys are bigger, close either 200 plus or close to 200 pounds. I think Louis Moore was the only one that was a smaller corner. But when I was watching Louis Moore on film, he doesn't play like small corner. He goes up and make hits. I was watching a lot of like just defensive film from Indiana, and he comes up and makes hits. He comes up and forces fumbles and tries to. He's not really as fast as some of these other guys, maybe as I watched on film, but he's not afraid to get in there and hit. And it's going to be really interesting to see because you got a guy like Trey Washington, you got a guy like John Sanders Jr., who are free safety type of guys, strong safety type of guys, who over the top of that Ole Miss defense, yet to say anything about returning or leaving this Ole Miss program. Both of them, I believe, have an extra year of eligibility. I believe Trey Washington was only a junior, but you got guys like Key Lawrence, you got guys like Tamaria McDonald and Tavon Nicholson, along with who I mentioned, Louis Moore, who are going to be all safety slash DBs and who we're gonna, I guess, maybe struggle to see where they fit into this defensive back unit for the Rebels, who kind of struggled at times last year, especially against
Yes.
some pass heavy quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels, for instance. Um, as far as other notable prospects for the Rebels, two on my mind right now, Walter Nolan and Juice Wells for South Carolina. I didn't mention him in the beginning. I guess we'll touch on Juice first. I was watching Juice play. I watched Juice play throughout these last couple of years. I watched Juice play when he was with JMU a couple of years ago,
Oh
and
yeah.
he's a different breed when he catches the football. He's gonna run through you type of guy. We've seen a lot of guys that are gonna make you miss in the past here at Ole Miss, with AJ Brown, with obviously Trey Harris now, Dayton Wade, Jordan Watkins, guys are going to outrun you. Youth Wells can't outrun you. As he showed on film, he showed it when you watch him. But anytime you watch Youth Wells, he's going to catch a screen pass and he's going to run through people, or he's going to catch a pass across the middle of the field. He's going to keep running through contact. He did play last year, had a foot injury that kept him out for the rest of the season after that foot injury. But at JMU before coming to South Carolina, he had 1,250 yards, 15 touchdowns as a sophomore. And then the very next year fell 70 yards short of 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns as a junior in his first season with Spencer Rattler at quarterback at SC. So this is a guy who's going to put up big numbers if whatever team he's with. But if he comes to Ole Miss, it's going to be very interesting to see. Obviously, with guys like Deion Smith, with Trey Harris coming back, with Jordan Watkins, you got Aiden Williams on the roster as well. This is going to be very interesting if Juice Wells decides to make that commitment to here.
Absolutely. This is if Wells decides to come here, this will be one of the best Ole Miss wide receiving rooms ever. Period. You mentioned it. Wells, stud athlete, stud player. He's 6'1". He's fast. He's physical. He's everything you want in a wide receiver. Before last season, before he suffered that foot injury, he was a preseason All-American, like preparing to go to the NFL draft. Like that was the plan here. Obviously, things didn't go his way, and I would just love to have a guy like Juice, another experienced Power 5, SEC, like everything you want in a wide receiver. He's done it. So I would love to add that to the room. On the same topic of recruiting, in the 2024 high school class, Ole Miss received the commitment of Anthony Maddox, who is a quarterback out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. He was recently committed to Texas A&M, but Ole Miss offered him last week. They got him in for a visit, and boom, just like that, Maddox committed. His dad played in the NFL. He also played in college. Pete Golding, I know they're friends. They have a connection. And his younger brother, Cam, is a top 100 defensive lineman in the 2025 class. And before his brother even looked at Ole Miss or had an offer, he was playing in the state championship game at the Vaught, and he had Ole Miss gloves on. So now that his brother's here, I think that'll make things a lot easier for Randall Joyner and the whole defensive staff to land him, because he's a stud. He's a big-time prospect, and it's just exciting stuff because as good as Maddox, the quarterback, can be, like his recruitment and just staying in the SIP, like their motto, it just benefits Ole Miss in general.
Yeah, for sure. And Maddox, watching him play, watching some tape on him, and watching his highlights from that state championship game, who he played in front of Charlie Wise Jr. at that game. I believe that was the same day as the Memphis Ole Miss basketball game.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, Matt, like you said, the Maddox recruitment is big for getting his brother. Um, it was questionable for me at first, seeing all the quarterback rooms, but it's still a lot of questions in the quarterback room for Ole Miss heading forward. No official announcement on Dart. Still in the dark with Walker Howard on what that's going to be like. So I'm assuming we're waiting to see what happens with Jackson Dart there. And then obviously you got Austin Simmons, very talented young quarterback in that room as well. And Maddox is only going to add another competitive fire to that locker room. I think what Kiffin is trying to do here is continually make that quarterback room competitive, because that's how you did it last year, and you saw the improvements from Jackson Dart of being in a competitive environment. And you can credit to all the offseason work that Dart made, or you can credit to the competitive strides that locker room made as far as the QB room in general, with Spencer Sanders, with Walker Howard, Jackson
Yeah,
Dart, and Austin Simmons all in the locker room at the same time. And it's only going to get better for years to come if you keep rolling in commits like this.
exactly. And Kiffin, like we have to remember, he was at Alabama when Tua went in the game for Jalen Hurts in the national championship.
And
Kiffin,
Mac Jones is on that roster as well, I believe.
yeah, he will play the best guy and he will find them. So you ultimately just have to trust the coaching staff in that aspect, because you can never have enough talent, especially at quarterback, like easily. Last night, kind of on a smaller scale here in comparison to all the transfer portal news, but another huge commitment, Kavion Broussard, who's an offensive lineman, previously committed to Miami, Florida, and he's 6'6", he's an offensive tackle, a guy that Coach Garrison, the offensive line coach, is going to want to add some weight to. He's around 275, but a ton of potential, a huge frame, and another exciting piece just to add to this insane week, Cam.
Yeah, offensive line going to be probably big in this portal. Obviously all the defensive commits as of late. Um, but like you said, a big time. He's a big time guy. He's a large guy who could probably try to add some weight as far as he goes into his career here at Ole Miss. Uh, Also they got Jaquan Scott out of the portal at Southern Miss. I believe he had 28 straight starts at left guard position. He's 6'4", 330 pounds. This is Lane Kiffin going out and getting more big bodies up front, as opposed to last year when you saw guys go down, saw that line scale up a little bit, and you saw things go a little bit downhill from there as far as offensive line production, uh, as far as protecting Jackson Dart. So I think next year they're going to make more of an emphasis on that, whether Jackson Dart's under center or someone else is under center.
Absolutely. Also in news this weekend, it was the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star game. There were a number of prospects playing, but Ole Miss commit 2024 wide receiver Real White had 3 catches for 44 yards. And on the defensive line was Cam Franklin, also an Ole Miss commit. He had 5 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. Cam, I saw Franklin's film and these plays and these sacks. He's just an explosive player, and
Yeah,
like as good as and as talented as these transfer defensive linemen are, I think Franklin very much so has an opportunity to come and compete for a spot day one.
for sure. Franklin, watching him play, looking at stats of him, looking how big he is in person, he's definitely a guy that's probably going to find his way into that really talented defensive lineman rotation next year at some point. This is a really stacked D line class as far as high school, along with Cam Beavers, Jeffrey Rush, Will Eccles. You just gotta see the talent there and let it progress into later years to come with all the talent that is at Ole Miss right now, and hopefully those guys can get their opportunities when the time is right. As far as Norwell White, I really like what I see out of him. He's one of my favorite prospects in this Ole Miss class this year. I'm really
Yeah.
excited to see what they're going to do with him, because obviously very stacked wide receiver room next year. You see all these guys committing. You see the guys like Deion Smith. You see the Juice Wells rumors. Ray Harris coming back. Jordan Watkins coming back. We're forgetting about Aiden Williams. He's a stud. He's going to come back. He's probably going to be a top target next year if he makes his way into that lineup, just
Oh
because
yeah.
of his playability. And we saw at times last year in either um, whether it was spring in fall camp or in early into the season when he had a few big touches. But I'm really excited to see how they're going to use Norrell White. He's very fast. Maybe use him on some jet sweep. Maybe use him out of the backfield. I feel like they're going to find ways to use that kid for sure.
Yeah, and Real has Elijah Moore type versatility with Kiffin. He will 100% be everywhere. To wrap things up here, I just want to talk about Braylon Burnside, another 4-star wide receiver out of Starkville, Mississippi. He decommitted from Mississippi State after they fired Zach Arnett. And in his locker yesterday was filled with Ole Miss stuff at the Mississippi Alabama game. Again, there's a lot of wide receivers already committed to Ole Miss. But I mentioned earlier, it's never a problem to have it. Like, you can never have enough talent. But Burnside, I don't know where he'd fit, but I think he has all the talent in the world to come in and try and compete for sure. But again, he's from Starkville, Mississippi State's in his backyard. I'm curious where that will go, Cam. It'd be a very nice pickup for Ole Miss to keep him away from State, because I think he'd be a day one player there, absolutely. But again, just excited to see where that ends up.
Absolutely. It's going to be hard, like you said, to find a way into this receiver rotation if you're a freshman coming in at Ole Miss next year, or if you're just a newcomer in general, just because the faces coming back and a couple of guys coming in right now. But Burnside, when I was looking at some of his recruiting process right now, kind of still looks like he's leaning State, leaning maybe Texas A&M, Ole Miss, kind of in the conversation. But we'll have to wait ahead and see how that unfolds. I'm not quite sure if he's one of the guys that's signing early here in the next couple of days.
Sure.
But a lot of those guys are going to be signing here in the next couple of days, and obviously a lot of them are going to be coming in early in the spring as well. Before we wrap it up, I guess we can touch a little bit on the Peach Bowl,
Mhm.
kind of what our thoughts are, maybe a little bit of a prediction of what we think is going to happen.
Yeah. So Penn State, their best player by far on the defense, Chop Robinson, he declared for the NFL draft, so he won't be playing. That's going to be a very nice thing for the Ole Miss offensive line, because that dude's a force. He's a hell of a player, hell of an athlete. Also, their defensive coordinator, he took head coaching job at Duke. So I don't know how much that's going to adjust things, but any help the Ole Miss offense can take, I think, is a fantastic thing. And on the flip side, you've had actually a ton of Ole Miss guys say they're going to return for next year.
Yeah,
So I think that motivates them even more to get that pre-ranked spot even higher for next season, going out and defeating the number 10 team in the country in Penn State.
for sure. And this is a Penn State team, really good defensive team, top three team in the country defensive wise. Last time we saw Ole Miss face a team this good in defense, didn't turn out as well. Went down to
No,
Athens, did not look good, did not look pretty for this Ole Miss offense when they played a top defense. So it's definitely going to be a test. Definitely going to be looking to take a step into that next direction into 2024, where you're a playoff contender if you're Ole Miss, or you're getting all these other prospects. You may have more guys return after the bowl game. I remember listening the other day to Super Talk for North Mississippi, and they were talking how they see this game going two kind of ways, and I kind of agreed in a sense. It could either be a battle to the end, where we're going to see maybe a defensive battle between Pete Golden and the rest of these Penn State players that are left on this team that hadn't left or declared with their interim DC, or we see an Ole Miss offense who's a very high-powered SEC offense completely dismantle a Big Ten defense. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I could see either one happening.
yeah,
This
I
is
agree.
a Miss team that can put up a lot of points, and an Ole Miss team that seems like they're really, really hyped up right now.
100%. I'm hoping we see that, like you said, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I'd love to see Dart go out there and kind of make a statement, hopefully leading into next season, that we hope he returns to.
For sure. And that's all we got for you guys today. Make sure to tune in to the rebelwalk.com for all your Ole Miss sports needs. Thank you.